Are you a chiropractor with a struggling practice, having a hard time finding and keeping patients? Is your staff falling short of expectations? I'm Dr. Scott Sawyer, and DC Trainings has the answers that you need. So tune in now and find out how. Hello, welcome to DC Trainings. I'm Dr. Scott Sawyer, and I want to thank you for being part of our webinar today. As we move through Module 4, we're now in week 2. So get ready, buckle up. It's going to be a great day. And we're going to talk about the specific topic in week 2, which I have to say, we all encounter this, no matter what size practice, whatever style practice, we all run into this challenge. So it's something that's really a topic that we can all learn more about and we can focus on, and we can really strive to surpass this challenge. And I want to start out by actually showing you a quote from Dr. B.J. Palmer. Great book, by the way, As a Man Thinketh. But this quote I thought was perfect. Now, there's two quotes. The first one having to do with our current healthcare approach. And hopefully many of you are seeing that since we've come out of this whole COVID phase or time, that you're getting more and more questions from patients who are questioning the medical status quo. And I know I'm seeing it in practice. I know we're all seeing it in practice. And so this first quote has to do with that. And I'll tie in one more piece to that. And that is, I just joined a committee with Life Chiropractic College. I've been on the President's Circle since I began in practice. So I've been part of the Life West family for a long time, and I'm very proud of it. The college stands for great principles in chiropractic, and they really stand for the right things in chiropractic. But I just joined this committee, and what we were talking about was how in California, the numbers of practicing chiropractors has declined since COVID. And that's tragic. And for a lot of reasons, but obvious reasons are that the numbers have been declining. Now, for those of us who practice in chiropractic, you could say, yay, that means we have more people to take care of, which is great, but we still don't take care of enough people. And there's too many people that are dragged into the medical paradigm of sick care and not really on healthcare. So this quote has to do with that. And the quote is, united, here it goes, united, we stick. Divided, we're stuck. Very simple, very concise, right to the point. Divided, we're stuck, but united, we stick. And part of why I'm bringing this up is because this is my call to action for you. I know that in DC Trainings, the doctors who I have the pleasure of working with on a daily and weekly basis have very successful practices. I mean, I know right now, a couple of you on this call, Dr. Dancy, Dr. Knitsch, I mean, just very successful practices because of the principles and the strategies and the techniques that we practice or that we teach in DC Trainings. So that quote is important from the standpoint that please invite other chiropractors to join DC Trainings. I know, and I have a great practice, my own practice. I mean, I was adjusting all day yesterday. I had a blast. I'm not doing DC Trainings because I have this need for the income that it produces. No, the reason why I do DC Trainings is because I want to help chiropractors profession-wide be more successful. So please refer other doctors to DC Trainings. If you know of a chiropractor who's struggling in practice, send them my way. I will be happy to help them and encourage them and show them the way to have the most successful practice. So that's the first quote. United, we stick. Divided, we're stuck. Straight from B.J. Palmer. Now, the next one is along those same lines. And so this is the second quote. The second quote is, some people expect to attain success like a person taking a train, by taking a seat and waiting for the conductor to call the stations. So I'll read that one more time. Some people expect to attain success like a person taking a train, by taking a seat and waiting for the conductor to call the stations. Now, my translation of that quote is that being in practice is, and even down to our health, because I share the same quote with patients, Being in practice is a participation sport. It's not a spectator sport. You can't sit on the sidelines and expect people to just flock to you and know what it is that you can provide and how you can help them. No, we need to be participating. We need to be constantly in this pursuit of how can we enhance our service potential? How can we enhance the quality of our services? One of the nice things that I got as a gift when I got home last night, I adjusted well over, I think it was 157 people yesterday. And please don't get hung up on the numbers. I love taking care of a lot of people. Whatever numbers of patients that you take care of, I salute you and I applaud you, because that's what we're in this to do. But I got home and on my phone was an email that said that this great patient, this woman I just started taking care of, that she had written 2 reviews for us, one on Yelp, one on Google. And both were 5-star reviews. And boy, what a compliment to get home and find that waiting for you after working hard all day and taking care of all these people. What a nice surprise it was to get home and find that acknowledgement and that recognition of all the hard work that I'd put in during the day to take care of all these people. So where am I going with all this? Let me share my screen, because this has a point that I want to get into. And that is this: when we have a patient who comes in, and sorry, let me just move a couple of windows around here for you. Okay, so when we have a patient come in who says to you, I have a challenge or I have an objection, however the terms you want to use, around this care plan, whatever it is, doctor, that you're recommending for me, I can't do that, and here's why, or I don't agree to that, and here's why. Whatever the reason is, when we overcome that, when we handle that objection, when we really work with that patient to find the right solution, what does that give way to? It gives way to them receiving chiropractic care. And it gives way to us being in that participation sport mindset, like I had said. It gives way for us to call the stations, like the quote said. We know where we're going, we know what we're doing, and we know what people need. And that's why I thought this is an appropriate quote to share with you today. And so let's get right into this, because actually I need to move one more thing around here. So I apologize. Actually, not that one. Sorry, just bear with me for a moment. There it is. Okay, so let's get into this. And I want to show you, because when you're doing the report of findings and you're all geared up to, let me stop the share for a minute. When you're all geared up to really give it your best and deliver what you feel is the best of best recommendations in terms of achieving optimum health, correcting subluxations, creating a path in life of pursuit of well-being and health balance, right? When we really put our heart into that and we go into a report of findings with that mindset, whether we're a CA or a doctor, when those challenges come up, it can be kind of deflating. You can feel like, oh my gosh, I got ready for this. We got all the records ready. Maybe I was a little nervous. If I'm a new CA, I see Celeste on the line, who's not a new CA. I know you have been doing these for a long time. Emily, I think you're a relatively new CA, so welcome to the call. But you might be a little nervous because you haven't done it before, and you're thinking, okay, did I learn my lines? Am I being sincere? I can't remember what I'm supposed to say. So all of that factored in, when you follow your heart and you know that you're in it for the right reasons, and you know with all sincerity that what you have to deliver for that patient is the best that healthcare can offer, then it doesn't really matter what words come out of your mouth, and it doesn't matter what care plan objections they come up with, because your pursuit of perfection for that person, to help that person to the best of your ability, will overcome any of those objections. Because never forget, they got in their car and they drove to see you. So they went out of their way to come in. They do want you to take care of them. Okay. So that's kind of our premise, right? And I need to make sure that that's stated, because that's the objective as we go through our topic today. Real quickly, as just a housekeeping item, I am going to wrap up a little early. So please get your questions ready. If you have questions, let me know. I'm going to open up the question box now, so it is ready, but I am going to finish right about 11:35. Yeah, 11:35 Pacific time. I have an interview coming in. We have a new CA we have a position for a new CA, and we have 2 back-to-back interviews. So I want to get ready for them. But anyways, that aside, let's dive right in and show you how this works. So when a patient comes up with a challenge, obviously the concern is that challenge could prevent that patient, from starting care with you. And that's the worst of the worst case scenario, right? A person came to see you and then they end up not getting that which they were seeking, that which we can help them. So we want to make sure that we help our patients, and we want to overcome or handle or solve those challenges. Now, the other part to this that's important that can present itself during care plan objections is when a patient comes in and they're not educated around what it is you can do to help them. Now, what do I mean by that? If a patient is not well educated, they might be misled into thinking that they're there to see you for what? Pain relief only. Now, if we haven't done our job and educated them about the true benefits long-term wise of chiropractic care, then it's not their fault, but they could be fooled into thinking that that's the reason why they're there. So we want to make sure that we address these and we anticipate these challenges in pursuit of where we started today, which is to get our patients the best care possible. Okay, so we're gonna handle those through our care plan objections. And I want to just add something. Actually, I'm having deja vu right now because we just did this at the live seminar. For those of you who came to the live seminar, thank you so much. I also want to thank Dr. Kinich Dr. John for sticking around afterwards. I had a great time, hanging out with you and catching up. We've been friends for a long, long time. So I really appreciated you sticking around and for making the drive to Santa Cruz. But for all of you who came, a huge thank you. And for all of you who attended the virtual seminar, thank you. But anyways, that's why I was having a deja vu moment. Okay, so we're going to invite the spouse to participate, because whatever these in the background care plan objections are happening, we need to make sure that if we address it with our patient and solve them, that's great. But next to them could be their spouse or this other person who might have some of those objections in their mind too, or those challenges. And if we don't solve them now, they will end up preventing our patient from getting the care that they need. So just make sure you invite the spouse to participate, and then you address the objections at the same time. Now we're going to get into a flow here, because what's nice, there's kind of a lot of slides back to back, but I don't want this to get in the way of you. As they say, you can't see the forest for the trees, right? So I want to make sure that you kind of get the flow of this. And if you understand this flow, which is pretty simple, you'll be able to handle basically any objections, right? And as I said, for the new CAs, it might be a little scary, but that's okay. I want to build your confidence and I want to build your comfort level so that with time, it just gets easier and easier to do. So here's the checkpoints where you're watching for care plan objections. The first one is the push off. Now, doctors, for those of us who have CAs doing the reports of findings, doctors, this is on you, right? This is the push off is where doctors, you need to set the standard. And what's nice about setting the standard is that your CA will feel much more empowered to maintain that standard and hold the line when you set the standard first. Okay, so the first one is the push off, and we'll get into this in a second. The second one is the demand for care. Now, the demand for care is going to come across as a question. Well, I guess they all kind of come across as a question, but the demand for care is, when does that come up? That comes up before you go into what your recommendations are. So it's nice because, and as I said at the seminar, this is a great example. Imagine you're playing a poker game with somebody and it's high stakes and you're in it for a lot and you're stressed out, because there's a lot of money on the table. Imagine you're playing this poker game and right behind your opponent, there's a mirror and you can see their hand. That's how it feels when you're going into this scenario, because you're going to know exactly what it is that is on their mind, but in a loving way. By knowing that, you'll be able to find solutions. Okay, so this is how I'm going to show you where you'll have that mirror. You'll be asking these questions, which come across innocently enough. They're great questions, but behind them, behind your patient is a mirror, and you can see exactly what's going through their mind in a way that, obviously, again, I want to reiterate that you're not taking advantage of anybody. This is so that we can provide someone with the best care possible, and they don't get misled into receiving the wrong care and having the wrong expectations and then having their expectations not met. Okay, so let's go through these and you'll see a pattern as we go through it. So the first one is the push off. That happens when I walk in as the doctor and I'm either getting ready to deliver the report of findings or I'm introducing my CA. And this is how it happens. So I walk in and I say to the patient, based on your condition, I would want to make sure that if I take you on as a patient, you're able to follow through with all my recommendations. If you're not able to follow through, I'd rather not have you as a patient because that would affect your results. And, obviously you don't want to be coming here if you're not getting results. So with me agreeing to accept you as a patient is only with the understanding that you're able to follow through with my recommendations. Sound good? Yes, it does. That would be perfect. Now, on the screen, this is the sign of a care plan objection. The sign is they go, whoa, wait a minute. I don't know if I can do that. Or, yeah, whatever, doc. Let's just get started. Okay. So that's the sign. They're unmotivated or they're indifferent. Now, how do we solve that? The way we solve it is by reviewing the primary concerns. Remember, I said a moment ago, if you haven't done the education part right on day one with the new patient, this is where it's going to come back to bite you. Okay. Because if you didn't get the primary concerns and all the effects, what are you going to say when somebody's unmotivated? You're going to fall into a trap. And the trap is, okay, I'll just adjust you till your pain's gone. And then they're gone. And then they miss out. And so do you. So by doing our job right the first time on the first day, and we obtain all that information, now we review the primary concerns and we project to the future without care. So here's what you came in with. Here's how it's affecting you. Now, if you continued for the same amount of time with this condition worsening, tell me, how would that affect you in the future? Okay. Now, if they say, I don't know, then you didn't do your job right on the first day. Okay. So it's a good way to look in your own mirror too and reflect on how you did. But that's how we're going to handle that. So, and I'll go through a script and show you this in a minute, but let's go into the next one. The next one is after you've shown the patient their subluxations through whatever means you have, x-ray, exam findings, thermal scan, computer program, whatever, after you've shown it to them, then you say, now you understand your condition, you've seen it, you understand what it's doing, you understand where it's going. How do you feel about your condition and what do you want to do about it? And you should write that down if you don't have that. It's actually in the script, which I'll show you. But the response to that as a care plan objection would be, well, I don't know. I don't know what I need to do about it. I don't know. It's not that bad, right? So change is not important. In other words, they're not really motivated to make a change right now. Once again, look in your own mirror and say, did I really get all the information from the first visit that I needed to make this happen right now, right? So if the demand for care doesn't produce a motivation for change, it's not that the patient's not motivated, it's because we didn't educate them well and we didn't obtain the information on the first visit, okay? So how do we handle that? Well, this is going to start to look really familiar, but it's the same way. We review the primary concerns and the effects obtained on the first visit, and then we project to future health without any care, right? How would this be for you if you don't do anything about it for another X amount of time? So it's the same approach, but once again, you have these checkpoints. This is the mirror behind your opponent in the poker game. You have these checkpoints and you're going through them and you're saying, okay, the first one, oh, great, they passed. It's not a care plan objection. Perfect. Let's go ahead and show them the subluxations. Let's educate them about what happens with their subluxations and what's going to happen if they don't take care of them. Now we've done that. They understand and they've seen it. Let's do the demand for care. Let's test it out. How'd it go? Well, change is important. Perfect. Bingo. Check. Second checkpoint is done. And we move into the third one, right? So we just keep going through this methodical process or step to make sure that everything's checking off and we're moving ahead. The third checkpoint is after the recommendations and before financial arrangements. Okay, so you just see how this flow, it's like baking cookies. You go through the flow and everything checks off and goes into place. So the Clear 100 happens after our recommendations. And how do we do that? Based on how you've seen your condition and you understand what it's going to take to really get the best results, not just pain relief, but really get the best results long-term wise. Where are you at on a scale of 0 to 100% in terms of following through with these recommendations that we just showed you? Well, I'm 80%. Boom. Bells go off. Care plan objection. I know how to handle that. How do I know how to handle that? Well, I'll show you. We review the primary concerns and effects, and we project future health without care. Okay, same thing. So you're just watching for these little triggers, and when the trigger goes off, you know how to handle it. And that way you keep moving forward through the process until they're ready to start care and they're ready to be committed to follow through and get the best results. Okay, so that's the same thing there. Now, there's the three of them. Now you know exactly where they come up, how to address them, and how to move on to the next one. And I have to say, because I've been working with my CAs and training them, and we have meetings about it, and this dynamic really works well. Okay. Now, there's a couple of little tangents on this because we want to watch for these challenges. And the signs are, number one, medicated symptoms, number two, modified activities, and three, a high pain tolerance. So medicated symptoms means they're unmotivated because they're masking the symptoms with drugs. Okay, I'm taking a lot of Tylenol for headaches. I've got some codeine for my back pain, and that's masking the symptoms, so they're not motivated. So the easy response to that, how do you handle that? The way you handle it is by saying, if we were to take away that medication, in other words, if the whole world ran out of Tylenol tomorrow, where would you be then? Because my assumption is you probably don't enjoy taking drugs, right? I mean, this kind of goes without saying. I had a great orientation this week, by the way. We had a great class. A lot of patients came in. I did it on Tuesday night. Yesterday, patients were coming in that were in the class, thanking me for the information that was presented. And one of them, because I told a story about a patient who used to take a lot of Tylenol for headaches, and I told that story, and she came in and she just said, that story was me before I came to see you. I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait to have my picture on the wall like Dawn's. And so it was just great to get that feedback after the class. So, getting past these challenges leads to lifetime care and a beautiful practice and great relationships. Let me keep going. Modified activities is the second one. I used to golf. I don't golf anymore because of my health problems. I used to go on long walks. Love to walk with my wife. I just had a story. Oh my gosh, this came on yesterday too. I had a patient come in and a report of findings that started care. And he was saying that he used to love to go on walks with his wife. They don't do that anymore because of his back problems, right? So by allowing our patients to see the big picture, because my response to him was, well, what would that do for your relationship with your wife if you could do these long walks again like you used to do? I mean, how has that affected you? Maybe it hasn't caused divorce or anything, but how has that affected you? And how much better would your relationship be if you could resume doing these walks again? He said it would be a game changer. Bingo. We overcame that care plan challenge real quickly because we talked about how modifying your activities doesn't have to always be the case. Okay. High pain tolerance, right? If a patient says, I'm just used to being in pain all the time and I still have kids to help or work to go to, well, how much more enjoyable would you be able to do those things if you didn't have to wake up in pain every day, or if you didn't have to suffer through it with these health issues? How much more easy and how much more enjoyable would any of those things be? See, having a high pain tolerance does not make pain a normal thing. It just means you're a busy person and you have life to deal with, but it doesn't make it normal. And so here at Knitch Chiropractic or Sawyer Chiropractic, we're not okay with that. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel that says you don't have to put up with that. And that's what we're here to help you with. You're going to see a real quick change in terms of where somebody gauges what they have to tolerate and deal with. And they're going to say, I'm not okay with that. I want to live life the way I used to before I had these chronic health problems. Okay. Let's keep going. So just a couple things. We want to avoid scheduling confusion. I have this happen fairly often. And if you're anticipating it, you know how to handle it real quickly. And that is that the ongoing visits are assumed to be as long as the first two appointments. Very simple solution. Keep in mind, because like we have our report of findings, this report of findings I was telling you about yesterday with the guy that likes to go on walks. He was here at 10:30 in the morning. He took time off of work to be here and come with his wife and go through the report of findings. Well, he assumed that all these appointments meant that he was going to have to come at 10:30 in the morning every day to get his adjustments. So we obviously let them know, those are specific times that we have extended appointments. When you come in for ongoing visits, it's going to be scheduled either late in the evening, we're open till 6, or it could be first thing in the morning, we open at 7:30, so we can fit you in at different times. Oh, okay, perfect. I'll be here for all the appointments, no problem. So describe the appointment length and then cater to their work schedule. Maybe they can come before work or after work, whereas for the report of findings, they might have to miss work because that's a specific time that we don't have as much flexibility. So just avoid some scheduling confusion there. It'll go real smoothly. All right, and that wraps up our topic today. I'm going to jump over to the script real quick, but I want to remind you, next week is our big one, financial arrangements, right? The title of this whole module is coming next week, and so don't miss that one. Okay, so let me jump over to the website, because for those of you who are getting comfortable with the care plan worksheet, I have a video on the website this week. It's always on the website, but it's our topic this week, where you can see exactly how we modify a care plan for a patient who needs that modification. Okay, so watch that video, and it's in a PowerPoint form, so you can actually kind of follow along. And what I would recommend is
this video, let
me mute the sound there, but you can just take a blank care plan worksheet and just fill it out with the video with your own numbers, and just practice that, because you might watch the video 2 or 3 times and fill out a care plan worksheet each time with your own numbers, and then you'll be really comfortable with it and proficient, and it'll just make it that much easier. So that video is there for you. And then I want to show you these forms, because here is the outline of what I just went through. So this is the push off, demand for care, clear 100, watch for those challenges. They're all right there. And you can just print that out and go through it with your team and train together on that. This is the one I want to finish with, and I want to read this through this with you, because this is the care plan objection script. Okay, and this is, I mean, I've taken this from basically a real life scenario. I'm in practice like you. So let's go through this together. Okay, so the doctor of the CA says, based on our recommendations, or based on our recommending you receive a 12-month care plan, do you foresee any challenges that would prevent you from following through completely? Okay, that's your push off. Actually, I have a long commute and I can't come here that often. Well, thank you for telling me. What time do you leave home in the morning? I leave home at 8 and I return at 6:30. Well, if you had a 30-minute appointment at 7:30, would you still arrive at work on time? Probably, but I just don't know if I can commit to all these appointments, right? So what did I do there? I gave them kind of a broad stroke picture of what appointments would look like, and said, okay, if we scheduled you before work and the appointment took this much time, would that work? Yes, it would, or probably. Okay, so there's, and then, but in this case, we want to cover through some more examples of different objections that come up, but most of the time that one solution will solve it. But of course, in this case, we want to present a couple of them so you know how to address them. So probably, but I still don't know if I can commit to all these appointments. Well, keep in mind, the doctor is very concerned about your constant headaches, side effects from the Tylenol you're taking daily, plus you've been missing a lot of work, and indicated that you would be much happier if you didn't have these terrible headaches. Yes, I definitely would. I can't stand these headaches. Now, what did I just do? There's a footnote 1. What I did was I repeated the primary concerns and the effects with dramatization and empathy. Okay, so that's really important, and you want to get comfortable with that. And if the headaches continued for another 5 years, so watch what I'm doing here. Remember that slide. For another 5 years, what would your life be like at that time? I don't know. I can't even read today. I know my life would be worse, but I still can't commit to the 3 visits every week. Well, if I could spread out your visits, then could you follow the recommendations? Yeah, I definitely would follow through if it meant that I would still get good results, because I want to feel better. Well, it would be more convenient would it be more convenient to set up a care plan with 1 appointment per week? Yeah, I could commit to coming once a week. Okay. And then here's the key to that. Your care plan will take longer to complete, but the doctor still feels you'll get the results you need. With just 1 visit a week, your care plan will take 18 months instead of 12, and the doctor will arrange new milestones to measure your progress along the way. Now, footnote 2, see corrective care modified sample, and to view a sample care plan. So and actually I don't have that on this one. I probably should have put that on. It's going to actually, that document, while it's on the website, is going to come up when we cover financial objections, so that it's already in there. So you'll see that document in an upcoming webinar, but you can reference it, of course, anytime. So so what we're doing is we're saying essentially that this care plan is still really important. You still need this care plan. You still need the appointments, and all those appointments are vital to get you the best results. So if you can't come in as often as we're recommending, well, then let's just stretch it out a little longer so you still get the results that you need. So you're not compromising and giving the care away, and you're not compromising their results, right? So we're still going to get the results they need. It's just going to take a little longer. And that's the flexibility that I want you to be comfortable with when you're going through these care plan objections, because the quicker you can work with this on the fly, then the quicker your patient gets on the table and you get to adjust them, right? So, because that's our objective here, is to get our patient to the table and take care of them. All right, so I went a little faster through that, but I do need to jump off early. So this is a good time to ask any questions. If you have a question, let me know. And let's see, I don't see any hands up. So I want to just also remind you on the goals on the website, we do have, and actually I'll show it to you, because we do have these webinars recorded on the website. Okay, so what you would do is you would log out and go to the homepage. And on these webinars, I'll show you here, we have our, oh, actually, where did it go? Oh, materials. I'm sorry. It's in materials. I should know my own website. So it's under materials. And if you go to podcasts, on the podcast page, then we have these podcasts for you on here, and you can review those and just watch them and re-listen to a webinar. So those are there for you. And that's, anyways, so that's there. So if you ever want to come back. Now, what I was going to show you, obviously, is here, because in the training tab on the webinars page, if you want to come back and listen to it, because as you saw, the podcasts are behind a bit, and we do that intentionally because that part of the website, you can just access it and take a look. So it's more of, they're kind of like teasers. But here you can always come and look at any webinar that we've done and go back and re-listen to it or check it out, and you'll be able to see and get that information at any time. So, all right. So with that, let me, let's see, let's go to here, and I don't see any hands up. Hello to the CAs on the call today. I applaud you, as I've said through this module, because we couldn't do it without you. But more importantly, I really applaud those of you who are actually doing reports of findings and doing financial arrangements and really working with patients so they get the best results. And it obviously frees up the doctors to be able to take care of more patients. So thank you for that. I'll look forward to talking to you next week. We have our financial arrangements webinar. And in the meantime, have a great week. And if you have any questions, just reach out to us, dctrainings.com. Let me just move this over. And but dctrainings@gmail.com. I didn't say that right. So dctrainings@gmail.com. You can email me, jump on a webinar, spread the word, tell chiropractors about DC trainings. I want to help more chiropractors in practice, like those BJ quotes, and help everyone to have successful practices, so that as chiropractic maintains its status as the #1 healthcare profession in the world, we can take care of as many people as possible and have fun doing it. So I'll look forward to talking to you next week. Thanks again for joining, and I'll talk to you soon.
If you would like to become a member of DC Trainings, be sure to head on over to dctrainings.com to get started today.